crazy shit happens every day. And if you limit and put a cap on yourself, then you've got a limitation right there. We can't expand wealth if we are rejecting wealth. When we start to realize that it's just us getting in the way of our receiving mode, then we can actually create bigger ripples in the impact of our business. If $49 US is hard for you to invest, there's some major scarcity shit going on. Now, when I do my money maps, I've got 250K in 90 days written up on my board because I know that we can literally create massive amounts of wealth. We're only limiting it by whatever we believe. Maybe we'll fall short, but hey, isn't that better than not falling at all, not going for it at all? I think if I fall at 100K or 150K in the next 90 days, I'm still going to be stoked as. Welcome to podcast 3 of the Uncapped Potential. This is your host, Alana G. And today I am going to dive deep into the frequency of abundance and how that can really support conscious entrepreneurs in really making more impact. One of my mentors that I took a lot of learnings from was a guy called Dr. David Hawkins, who talks about the consciousness funnel. And it was as if I already knew and understood that before I actually dived deep into what it was, just through understanding energy. I've always been quite intuitive and also vigilant with energy and reading people's body language and feeling into different spaces and places of like, how does it feel? And I think we all have that, and it may have been trained out of us, but it is innately within us to understand how energy flows and how energy grows, and the focus on what we give things is how, is what becomes. So with the frequency of abundance, what I learned about abundance is that abundance actually lives on a vibrational level above love, joy, peace, and then there's abundance. So the frequency hertz that are generated from that emotion, that feeling, that experience is above these other frequencies. And so if we want to go to higher realms of abundance, especially as conscious entrepreneurs, we must look at, are we looking at love? Are we looking at joy? Are we looking at peace? And if we're working on those things, perfect, that's great, because then we're only one step away from abundance. So working with a lot of conscious entrepreneurs globally and being one myself, very early on, I was creating retreats and events, and I was dabbling in the online space and working out what felt good and what really would support me in my bigger journey of impact in the world. And I was really teaching things like self-love, and I was embodying practices of self-love, and they're really, really important. So that's like the first vibration in the higher realms of consciousness to like look at. And then we've got joy, so finding pleasure, finding fun. That's super simple and easy too. And then you've got peace, like this internal peace. And I think for me, peace really came from knowing that I'm not the only energetic source to rely on, that there is God energy, source energy. It's like you can co-create with this energetic force field that's which is actually out of you, but you need to work on what's within you to be able to really amplify that. And then there's abundance. There's so many conscious entrepreneurs that I found, including myself, we're just not really putting any focus on our wealth. Like we're just like dabbling and making money here and making money there. And really this lifetime that we're in, the currency is money. And so what is our beliefs around money? Are we not even finding love, joy, peace in money? And if we're not, then of course we're going to just end up on these perpetual cycles of entrepreneurism, which is like you never really get ahead. You never really make massive impact or massive wealth because you're not treating abundance like this amazing vibration that it is, and not giving it the respect that it needs and the love that it needs, and just utilizing it as a tool. It's a vibrational tool. It's an energetic tool. Like billions and billions and billions of dollars are going around the world every single day. So how do we get ourselves as an individual in front of it And one of the things is not to judge it, not to hate upon it, that that it's really this magical thing, and we don't need to actually logically know how it's going to come in. And yes, I totally agree to have some logical steps, because that's the masculine and the feminine. Like the feminine way, the receiving, attractive, energetic way is not to understand it, but just to trust it. And then there's like the masculine that needs, the doing, the getting shit done. So you need to marry up both of those frequencies, and I'll dive into that a little bit more in a moment. But making peace, making love, making joy with money, making with abundance in this lifetime is going to amplify that. One of the things that I did was write a letter to money, and it was super powerful, super emotional. I cried like a baby. But I wrote a love letter to money, and I apologized for the way that I had treated money. I had, disrespected it in so many ways, because I had said that I hated it, or I would get it and spend it, and, just not really respect it. And I wrote this letter to money and said sorry for not appreciating you. It wasn't you. It was the belief of you. It was these perceptions that I had put upon money. But money had actually got me on my planes to get out of my situations. Money had fed the orphans that I worked with overseas. Money had been there when I needed it. Even when it ran out, it would come again. Like, money was magic. If we start to look at how wonderful and magical money is, and start to really appreciate it, things really transform in our relationship with money, and that means that we can have more. So I know a lot of broke conscious entrepreneurs, and I love you guys, because I was that. I understand that. And to grow past that, we need to start looking towards longevity wealth and legacy wealth. And that's like, okay, well, how much bigger of an imprint can I leave whilst receiving the abundance that I deserve for that showing up? An access point for me was definitely partnering with a company and investing in a company that was already creating wealth, and a company that also had the same values as me. Because one thing we do sometimes going after money is that we go and partner with something that's actually not in alignment to our values. And then that kind of creates this weird energetic experience. And then obviously wealth's not created. I did that in one of my businesses. I partnered with some company that did like beauty products. And I'm not one to love beauty products at all. I'm kind of one of those girls that gets ready in like 5 minutes. It's that's as far as it goes for me in beauty regime. And I did that out of a desire to make money, but it wasn't helping anyone. It was not, giving this life giving this big impact of goodness to the world. It was just a beauty product, right? And so it created a misalignment in my business expression. But super grateful, because every time things aren't going right, you can look at them and say, okay, well, what am I not listening to here? What's not right here? What have I not really aligned with here? And that was something that was just not me. I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. I was trying to be this really feminine goddess through a product, and that's not how I was going to do it. There's two worlds that I live in. So there's the world where I have partnered with a bunch of conscious entrepreneurs that are thinking big picture, legacy, lifetime. And then there's my beautiful, gorgeous other conscious entrepreneurial friends that I really would love, if they do listen to this, just to actually have a little quick look at how they're feeling around money, because we can't expand wealth if we are rejecting wealth. When we start to realize that it's just us getting in the way of our receiving mode, based on how we're believing about that, then we can actually create bigger ripples in the impact of our business and the people's lives that we're supporting in that business. So working with retreat space holders right now the conversation that I'm having with them is around, okay, cool, you guys have mastered the art of bringing these really cool learnings and lessons and healings to your community already. What if we start to look at what we can do for wealth? Because at some stage you cannot ignore that wealth exists. It exists above peace. It's a vibration. It's literally in the upper vibrations of the conscious funnel, and it's there, and you can't miss it in this lifetime. Like, we're here to live a big uncapped potential life. We need to actually start to look at this one frequency. And so as we shift that the focus to that frequency in ourselves and embrace taking on a journey that's going to reward us, and like having that logical steps, and then also embodying the healing that needs to happen for the beliefs that need to move so that we can amplify our wealth, then it gets done, and it gets done for not only you, but for the greater good, for the people that are within your communities already. That I'm talking to conscious entrepreneurs. So when I use the word communities, it means they're their clients. They're the people they're already inspiring, because that's what conscious entrepreneurism is about. Is about doing something that's for the good of the people. It's about creating from that place of trust. Like, you get given, like, I've been given these experiences that I had to create. And as a conscious entrepreneur, as someone that's aware of this gift that you've been given to create, you have to listen to it. You have to listen to that, and you've got to go and create it. And when we can create from a place of like abundance, so that's when you start to master your wealth consciousness, spend a year, spend 2 years, spend 3 years on it, really transform it, then any gift that you're given gets to come of service rather than of scarcity or of needing a money exchange. So it just becomes so much more amplified and joyous. Like right now, I have one of my businesses is actually a silent disco, a static dance journey, high frequency journey, where I get to take people through music and through spirituality and through embodied actions in an experience. It's a crazy, wild gift that was given to me, again, from source creation, and I embodied it and jumped into it. But I don't do it from a place of like, I need to do it now. I do it when it's welcomed and when it really feels good for me to do, versus having to every second week create this event to create money, because I've set myself up with a community of global entrepreneurs focusing on solutions for wealth creation. Some of my beliefs around money definitely stemmed from growing up in a home that didn't have a lot of wealth, had certain patterns of spending wealth, like there was no tomorrow. If they hadn't made some, it was gone, not very long after. My mum was a single mum, so it was, I found myself actually not long ago thinking, am I just reliving my mum's story? And that's kind of how beliefs work around money. It's like, go and look back at your parents, see what they believed around it, see what they did with it, and just have a look if that's something that you've taken on. Hating on money, it's not money. Money's not evil. It's the people that hold it. So if it's the people that hold it, wouldn't more good people in the world, like any conscious entrepreneur, want to go after it? Because then we can reclaim it, and that means we can do good with it. So that was something that I really had to shift within my own mindset, is that having money in my life is not going to be a burden. It's actually going to be something that I can now utilize for the better and to really help and impact change in the world. So the more good people with money in their hands, I'm like a hell yes to that. Going back to pattern imprints is like, if we aren't bringing in our awareness to like the beliefs that exist around money now, and as healers and entrepreneurs and coaches, we already know that there are tools for the different parts of healing that needs to happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't already be being entrepreneurs, like finding these solutions to help and support other people. We just have to shift the focus and utilize that for our wealth creation. So it's like, life is a pie, and each element of life, we've got to focus on it at different times of our journey. And if we're finding that we're not able to be abundant in our wealth, then there's going to be a time in our journey as an entrepreneur to actually look at that and shift that. So money is not evil. It's whoever's got money in their hands, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. So if you're a good human, go out and work out how you can put a lot of money in your hands, because I know that will change lives. And if that scares you, if that's bringing up some judgment, then that's a really good indicator for you to have a quick little look and check out why, and work on what that is for you so that you can shift that and change that. Because I know that if you've got money, you're going to do more with charities. You're going to do more in supporting people. Like the amount of people that I invest in now, because I can, the food that I eat, the food that I give, the food that the things get to shift and change, the opportunities that I can say yes to, and the more lives that get to be impacted by me having choice. One of the things that I had to learn around money, it was to go into deep trust. Again, trust comes into everything, but scarcity will have you conformed. It will have you thinking that it's got to be super like black and white and 9 to 5 kind of reality. That's not how money actually is created. Sure, it can be, but that's not how uncapped wealth is created. That's very capped. And scarcity will put you into fear that there's not enough and it's not going to come, and oh my gosh, and that's like the best time to go into trust, which is, again, I'm talking to the feminine energy, that receiving, you got to be a magnet for your wealth. You got to be a magnet for what you want to create. And magnetism comes from deep trust and surrender and knowingness that it's coming, and not limiting yourself. Do not limit yourself to think that it's got to be one way, because it's not. Crazy shit happens every day. Magical shit happens every day. And if you limit and put a cap, that's called a cap, on yourself on how it's going to happen, well, then, you've got a limitation right there. And something that I work with a lot of my clients is that there is this $49 US investment that we ask of them to do this discovery process, which, mind you, is fully refundable. And yet there are some really incredible beings that I know that will be like, I need to manifest $49. And I'm thinking on the other side of that, holy shit, that is one very limited cap that you've put on yourself. If $49 US is hard for you to invest, that is a clear sign that there's some major scarcity shit going on, because that is so easily spent. You drive out of your driveway and you can spend $49 very freaking easy. But yet that could be the key point for creating and stripping that layer back so that you can create uncapped wealth, because that's what we're speaking to in our discovery process. And now, $10,000 was one of my first big goals in digital space. I wanted to create $10,000 in the digital space, see if I can do it, and I just went out of my way, spoke to the trees, put it into everything in my language. I spoke to everyone that this is what I was doing. I took action as well. So I married up that masculine action, doing stuff, getting shit done mode, along with the manifestation. And lo and behold, 33 days in, I was able to achieve that. It came from full surrender and trust in what I was learning. So what I'm teaching right now, it's like, okay, maybe it doesn't make sense, but you're willing to go and give it a go. That's the thing. I was willing to just give what people had done before me a go to see if it would work. And then, of course, it worked, but I was really committed to that. Then I obviously went from 10K to 20K, 37K. Now when I do my money maps, I've got 250K in 90 days written up on my board, because I know that the reality is uncapped potential. We can literally create massive amounts of wealth. We're only limiting it by whatever we believe around it. And maybe we'll fall short, but hey, isn't that better than not falling at all, not like going for it at all? Like, I think if I fall at 100K or 150K in the next 90 days, I'm still going to be stoked as. And yet there are steps. Maybe it's the $49 step that you need to take first. Maybe it's the $10,000 and go and create that and do that however you do that. Like, there's so many ways to make money. You know, there's so many services you can offer. If you really wanted to crack your wealth codes, you can actually go, all right, I'm committed to this $1,500, it's $10,000. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And if you really want to do whatever it takes, you could go knock doors and fucking wash cars for $50. Like, that's, you know, when you can grasp that there's so many ways, then it actually becomes easier and it comes to you so much more in alignment to what you want to do. But you need to be able to get your unconscious mind on board for the fact that it's everywhere and there's multiple ways, and it's just depending on how committed you are actually to that creation of that wealth. So I have much higher conversations around wealth now, but if you're at where I was at the very start, where investing in yourself or creating $10,000 seems scary, then I really encourage you as an entrepreneur to go out and do that. Like, map it out, get a pen and paper out, see the multiple ways that it can happen, and trust that it will, and take action towards that happening. And then once you've cracked that code, you've got another whole level above you that to go, and you get to go into another world, another world of creation. If you've loved today's podcast, follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the social medias. If you want to dive deep into anything that I've spoken about, follow us on social media, reach out, get access to any of the resources that I've utilized. And yeah, looking forward to next episode. If you loved it, put your takeaways wherever you've seen this. Like, love, share, follow, do all the things that you need to do to make me feel welcome.